Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Nick. Today, we're going to be talking about 5 settings and tips in Bambu Studio to give you massive improvements in your 3D print quality. We'll be improving those layer lines and smoothing your prints and just getting the most from your 3D printer. This video is going to be very simple and straightforward, so let's get right to it. Real quick, if you guys are enjoying these tutorials, please help out the channel and smash that like button and send me a comment telling me you are enjoying these. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. The most obvious settings to start with are going to be our system presets. By changing your settings here in the dropdown, we'll adjust the layer height of your prints, and in turn gives you higher quality. But it also comes with a cost in print time. Now that we're printing smaller lines, we're also going to be increasing our print time. Currently, we have a 0.4 millimeter nozzle, and that gives us a range of layer heights from 0.08 millimeters to 0.24 millimeters. The default is set at 0.2 millimeters for a 0.4 millimeter nozzle. Up here in the settings, let's go ahead and switch our nozzle to 0.2 millimeters now. And if we check our system presets again, we now have a layer height range of 0.08 millimeters to 0.12 millimeters. Now I currently have a P2S printer selected, so my smaller layer height isn't available to me. But if I switch to my A1 with a 0.2 millimeter nozzle, you will now see that the A1 can actually print at a smaller layer height of 0.06 to 0.14. So always keep this in mind. The A-series nozzle have the ability to print at a smaller layer height. Alright, I hope that I explained it well enough for you to understand. Just always keep in mind that a smaller layer height will increase your print times. Let me go ahead and switch back to the P2S printer and the nozzle back to 0.4 millimeters. Before we move on, let's make sure you have the advanced mode turned on so that you can see all the settings here in the process menus. The next setting we're going to check is our order of walls. Down towards the bottom of the quality tab in the advanced section is a setting called order of walls. You can change this from inner outer to outer inner. When your 3D printer prints a model, it prints the walls in layers. By default, it usually prints from the inside walls first and then the outside walls last. But when it prints the outside walls first, that smooth outer line doesn't get pushed or squished by the other walls that are being printed next to it. This means the printer can make cleaner, straighter lines, and the surface of your prints look much smoother. Think of it like coloring inside the lines. If you draw the outline first, it's easier to stay neat when you fill in the middle. Printing the outer wall first does the same thing for your 3D prints. Next, down towards the bottom is the option Avoid Crossing Walls. In theory, this should prevent blobs from printing onto the surface walls of your print. I personally don't experience this much, but it can definitely improve the sidewall quality if you notice anomalies. My suggestion, test it with it on and off and see which works better for your printer. Now we're moving into a little bit more advanced features here, but bear with me. Once I explain it, it should be simple to understand. The next feature is one of my favorites. When I'm printing models that absolutely need the best quality, I make speed adjustments. Slowing down the outer wall speed helps your printer make cleaner, smoother lines. The outer wall is a part that you actually see, so it needs to look the best. When the printer moves too fast on this outer wall, it can shake just a little, miss details, or lay the filament down slightly uneven. That can create lines, bumps, or rough spots on your surface. But when you slow the speed down, the printer has more control. It can place the filament more carefully, follow curves better, and make the surface look smooth and professional. Reducing the outer wall speed by 50 to 100 can make a significant improvement in the quality of your outer walls. Next up is a little bit more advanced feature, but it's super simple to understand once I explain it. When it comes to improving print quality, most people think that the only option is to make the entire print use a smaller layer height. Smaller layers do make your print look smoother, but there's something important to understand before you go that route. When you change the whole print to a tiny layer height, the printer has to create a lot more layers from bottom to top. This does improve the detail, but it also dramatically increases your print time. In some cases, you can double or even triple the time it takes to finish a model, even in areas that don't need that much level of detail. This is where variable layer height becomes a smart option. Instead of using tiny layers everywhere, Bambu Studio looks at your entire model and only uses small layers in the spots that actually need them, like curved surfaces, round edges, or detailed shapes. Everywhere else, like flat walls or simple sections, it uses large layers because you won't notice the difference. This gives you the same smoothness on the detailed parts of your model while saving huge amounts of print time, because the printer isn't wasting hours of printing tiny little layers where they don't even matter. Variable layer height is a special tool in Bambu Studio that helps your 3D prints look smoother without taking forever to print. When your model has curves like a helmet, a statue, or a rounded corner, bigger layers don't form smooth curves. Instead, they make the shape look a little steppy like a staircase. But when your model has flat or simple areas, small layers are usually unnecessary. and just slow the print down. Instead of using one layer size for your entire print, variable layer height automatically changes the layer thickness depending on what the model needs. Detailed areas, curves, faces, and round edges, the printer usually uses thin layers for smooth results. Now that I've given you an explanation of what layer height is, let's go over to the tool and see exactly how it works. All right, guys, if you've never used this tool before, it's super easy. I'm going to walk you through it. First thing you need to do is select your object that you're going to use the variable layer height tool on. Select, and then up here at the top over on the left-hand side, you have variable layer height. All right, now once you have variable layer height enabled, you're going to see two different options. You have adaptive and smooth. And the way I think about this is if you push the triangles over to the left, you're putting on the brakes. You're using smaller layer heights and it's going to be a higher quality. You go to the right, you're pushing the gas. The printer is going to print a lot quicker with a lot larger layer heights. So for this instance, let's go ahead and push it to the left. And this is actually adaptive right here is actually a button. So if you hit that, you're going to see our model change. Now, remember, the printer can only print in layer heights that your nozzle is capable of. So if we go back to our drop-down menu, you can see that our P2S has the capability of printing at a 0.08 millimeter height all the way up to a 0.24. And just so you know, there's another way for you to check that as well by going up into this edit button next to your selected printer. Then go over to extruder and you'll see the minimum and the maximum. Do not adjust these. These are settings that were added by Bambu Lab and they direct us to not make any changes to this. Now the next thing we need to talk about is this little widget over here on the side. As you can see, as I scroll my mouse up and down, you can see the lower I get is going to be around the bottom of the model. And as I go up, it follows the mouse all the way to the tip top. Now, as you can see in this blue line graph, as we get higher up, the layer height is getting lower and lower and lower, all the way to a 0.08. That is the lowest layer height that the P2S can get to. So if we start all the way here at the bottom, largest layer height is in gray, the 0.2 millimeter layer height. And as we move our mouse up, it will start adjusting. And what these numbers here are indicating is going to be the layer height, all the way till we get to the top, till it hits the 0.08 millimeters, which is the lowest layer height. Now the next option is going to be our smooth radius option. If you adjust this, what it's going to do is it allows all the layer heights to further smooth each other. So if you click it once, with this model, it's pretty hard to see because it's already pretty optimized because we don't have a whole lot of variation in the angles of the model itself. But if we were looking at something more like our witch model or some of the other models that I had loaded in earlier, then it would make much more of a difference. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to this model and we're going to try the variable layer height option again. We're going to click on our model, hit adaptive, and as you can see, we've got our 0.2 millimeters in the gray area here on the model. And over here on the side, you can see the highlight following the mouse all the way down to a 0.35. And then it looks like it starts to adjust all the way up till it hits a 0.08 millimeters again. Now again, you can push this over, hit the smooth button. You're not going to get much because these two models are basically very similar. They're just rounded over cones. All right, I'm going to go ahead and reset that. And the last thing I wanted to show you is that you can actually manually adjust the layer height by left clicking and right clicking over here in this widget. If I left click and just hold it, it's going to come all the way down to a 0.8 millimeters. Now, obviously you're not going to want to do this for your models. Bambu Studio is much more efficient at generating this based off of your settings here, but this will give you an option if you happen to have a model where a certain section of your model that you would like to have more detail in it, and you can adjust your layer height for that particular section of that model. So that's what this manual adjustment is for. All right, and that's pretty much the basics of variable layer height. I hope that I was able to explain it to you in a very easily consumable way. And I encourage you to use this tool when you have a specific model that you want to get a higher quality out of without increasing the print time by just lowering your layer height over here in the system presets. All right, guys, I really hope that this video has helped you in your journey for better prints. There is so much more to learn, but this will give you a significant step forward. Again, if you've not already, hit that like button and tell me that you're enjoying these tutorials. I have so much more in the works. Again, my name is Nick. I hope you're having a great day, and as always, happy printing.